Welcome back to Bearcats Mean Business. Today's guest is Liwei Chen, an associate professor at Linder who now doubles as an Amazon best-selling author. How amazing! Liwei's co-authored book, Generative AI for Business, Frameworks, Techniques, and Governance, was recently named the #1 new release in the business education and reference category on Amazon. Liwei is here to talk about what students really need to know about generative AI, from essential skills and responsible use to how AI will affect their careers, classes, and more. Liwei, congrats on the book, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much, Grant. I'm very excited to be here today. It is very wonderful to share what we have been learning about generative AI, especially knowing that our students are using these tools every day now. And the book really come out of the needs of our business students and business professionals we are working with. So I think it's really meaningful to talk about it today here.
Yeah, you put together this project pretty quickly, so I'm excited to kind of dive into it. In the book's preface, you note that the book was born out of common questions that you and your co-author, Wei Chen from the University of Connecticut, were hearing from students. Students at Linder UC, students at Connecticut, maybe even students that weren't even at those schools. What were those common questions that you started hearing?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like in our teaching, students often come to us with two big questions.
Okay.
The first one is, as business students, where should they even start to learn generative AI? Because many of them do not have strong technical background. So many of them are using generative AI every day, such as ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, etc. And they read and heard a lot of news about generative AI every day as well. So they are really eager to learn more about the technologies such as large language models, prompt engineering, RAG, and agentic AI. They're really eager to understand what these concepts mean and how do they work. They wanted to learn in a more systematic and structured way.
Okay.
And the second question they often ask is, how do they the second question they often ask is, how can they actually use generative AI to solve business problems?
Okay.
And they often come from different business backgrounds. They want to learn how to use these technologies in the domains they are interested in. So this covers among many business majors, including marketing, finance, accounting, operations management, business analytics, etc., etc. So they want to see how generative AI is used today in different industries and across multiple functional areas in their organizations. So when we look around, we notice that there is actually no textbook talking about generative AI to business students and explain it in a more practical and understandable way.
Sure.
So that makes us to think maybe we can write one to complement the existing resources, which are mostly either too technical or too conceptual. So that's how we come up with our book.
Yeah, it's making sort of the technology kind of applicable and understanding for everyone. Now, once students start using this technology, they come into some responsible use questions, right? So what are a few ways that students can responsibly use generative AI in their classes?
Yeah, actually we see students using generative AI every week, every day, and I definitely see both good use and bad use. So I often offer students with some guidelines. First of all, be mindful that you need to keep privacy and security in your mind. Do not just paste sensitive data or identifiable data into the public tools. And second, very importantly, they need to use AI as a learning partner instead of a shortcut. So they need to be responsible for any submissions they work on. They can use AI as tools to explain concepts, generate practice questions, or for brainstorming purposes. But they should not use AI to generate the solutions and submit it without their own thinking. If they use AI in that way, they lose the value of learning.
Right. Yeah. The shortcut takes you nowhere. You're not learning anything, and then once you get to the professional setting, you're still stuck without the knowledge.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what are some of the top generative AI skills that all students need to know to thrive professionally?
Yeah, that's a great question. We view there are four essential skills, I would say. The first one is prompt engineering. So basically, you need to know how to communicate with AI with clearer instructions, context, and constraints. And it now has become a basic digital literacy. And the second one, I would say the retrieval augmented generation, which is the RAG. So that will connect with AI to provide more accurate knowledge resources. So I think that is very crucial in business settings where the accuracy of information is very, very important. And the third skill, I would say the capability to work with AI agents and develop and build agentic workflows. This is the new trend that requires human agents, to collaborate with the AI agents and to accomplish some more complex tasks. And the last skill I would say is the ability to evaluate AI-generated content, because we know that AI could hallucinate and it could generate unexpected results. So human students should be able to evaluate those output generated by AI and detect the hallucinations and make some judgments when the output is problematic.
You mentioned trends, and we both know that AI is changing by the minute virtually. And as a generative AI instructor for Linder students in master's and MBA and graduate certificate programs, you got a wide range there. How do you keep course content current with the constantly shifting landscape?
Definitely, that's a very true question. So I update the course materials continuously. Okay. At least weekly, wow, yeah. Because this space is evolving so fast. And I often organize my information in a very structured way. And even though the tools and applications change, the foundations, the fundamental concepts remain stable. So I try to cover those relatively stable concepts in my lectures. So these concepts would not disappear even though the applications might have changed. And I need to test these tools I use in the classroom before each class. But some things will happen. Some updates in the system will make some function not working for the students right the next day, right after I tested.
Right. Yeah. And I imagine your students who are actually those who are especially quite interested in the subject are probably making you aware of, okay, this might have changed, to your course material as well.
Exactly.
Helping you out. Yeah. So speaking of those students, do you find that students that you instruct are, once they become, I guess, fully aware or mostly aware of like the power of AI and its capabilities, are they worried about job security or even future job security if they may not be, a graduate student who already has a full-time job, if they're still working toward that full-time job? How worried are they about job security?
That's an excellent question, and I definitely see mixed emotions on this aspect. And very interestingly, I observed the emotions change as the course progresses. So it's very natural to see some students are relatively more positive about generative AI, and others are more cautious. But at the very beginning of the course, many of them are just unsure and they do not know enough to evaluate the impact on their own future job. But as we learn more, they usually they are very amazed to see how powerful and capable the generative AI has become. And at that point, that usually sparks them to develop some deeper thoughts, how this will replace their job and affect their work. And later on, we talk about some governance challenges, ethical issues. Those concerns might be drawn back a little bit because they see the values of human beings to still be included in this process to manage how to use generative AI and address those potential challenges and issues. Usually at the end of the course, my students are still very excited about generative AI and they are eager to learn more, but I would say that excitement becomes more informed. It's in a much more informed way because they have a more comprehensive understanding about both the threats and the opportunities, and they see both the potential and the challenges. So it's mixed.
Sure.
And one important point I want to make for my students to understand is AI is not just replacing humans' job. They actually are powerful to augment human capabilities, and human can collaborate with AI to achieve better performance.
It's another way of partnering with,
Exactly.
it's just an entity, right?
Exactly.
Right. Let's talk about non-AI skills for a second. What are in your experience, what are your essential business skills or principles that you sort of consider timeless, that are sort of maybe immune to AI disruption?
Yeah, that is a very thoughtful question. I have also been asking it myself,
Okay.
right? So to me, personally, 3 skills stand out. The first one, I think, is the critical thinking. I think it is very important to have the ability to ask great questions and have the ability to challenge AI-generated solutions. Even though AI can generate content, but ultimately it is human who decide what is meaningful and what is responsible, right? And the second skill, I think, is communication. Even though AI can help generate content, the clear communication still come out from the clear thinking. And I think AI cannot replace human intention and empathy. That is very important. The way we connect with others through our words still matters a lot. And the third skill, I think, very important is the ability to understand people and organizations, right? This is where the humanity really jumps in. AI cannot build trust, understand human needs, manage relationships, or navigate the team dynamics. So skills like empathy, listening, caring for others, leadership, I think those are still very valuable skills that cannot be replaced by AI.
Yeah, I have to agree with all that. So you're saying that we're not in danger of AI running major companies anytime soon.
Right.
Yes. So let's talk future students to sort of wrap up here. If a high school student is listening to this and is sort of yearning to study business collegiately, hopefully at the Linder College of Business, what should they know, like, early stage, about generative AI? They're probably using it in their classroom right now. And what makes Linder a strong place to study this topic?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. High school students, I think, should know that AI is not just for computer scientists. It affects all the majors, all the industries, including our business majors. So no matter where you're interested in, AI will be part of your future work.
Right.
And the second point I want to make is keep your curiosity, and AI will reward your curiosity. You do not need to have a very strong technical background. You do not need to know programming to start learning. As long as you know how to ask good questions and think clearer, you actually can start exploring generative AI. And the last point I want to make is that as for Lindner, we have built a very strong ecosystem for AI for business. And we offer specialized courses across multiple programs, and we have multiple labs, like applied AI labs, and we have business centers to support the learning, and we offer tons of opportunities to work on real-world projects collaborating with companies. So these are great opportunities for the students. They are not just learning the concepts from the textbook, they can also put what they learn into practice. So I think the students can get not only the conceptual understanding, but also practical skills, which is super important in today's world. And I think Lindner is a wonderful place to prepare for AI education.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Bearcats Mean Business. My thanks to Liwei Chen for appearing, and congrats once again to her on her new co-authored book, which is called Generative AI for Business: Frameworks, Techniques, and Governance. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who's ready to take the leap at Linder. Your feedback helps more Bearcats discover the show. Until next time, keep showing the world how Bearcats mean business.